Welcome. I'm going to take you back in time with me. We're getting in my big time machine, and we're going back in time. And I'm bringing you with me up to Braintree, a little suburb south of Boston, about 12 miles south of Boston. And we're going back to 1960. It's the summertime. We're at my parents' house in Braintree, and the whole family is there, and I want to welcome you to the Dillon family reunion. We're having a great time on a Sunday afternoon in the summer. My grandmother is in the kitchen. She spent the day making piccalilli. It's kind of like relish, and the whole kitchen table is covered with jars of piccalilli, and on the stove, she had been heating up some paraffin. My aunts, they're all in the dining room having tea. All my cousins went down to Taylor's Field to play baseball, but they didn't ask me. We're going to find out 20 years later that I have an eye stigmatism, and whenever a ball was thrown at me, or God forbid, hit at me, I'd see it for a while, then it would kind of disappear until it hit me. So I did the creative thing. I started learning how to play guitar and writing poems and stories. And on that Sunday, I convinced my cousin Patrick to come with me and go downstairs. He brought his American Flyer locomotive with him. And I had my American Flyer train set up in the cellar. We had a figure eight going around. We had both engines on the figure eight going around, seeing which one was going to hit the other one first. Running over some of our Green Army men. We were having a great time. And at the same time, we were listening to the conversation upstairs, because we could hear every word right through the ceiling. We could hear our aunts and my mother talking away, and I heard my mother say, "Where do you think those boys are?" You see, my father and my uncles had left about 2 hours ago to get a quart of milk. And nobody knew where they were. Well, my Aunt Margaret spoke right up. She said, "Ella, let's not worry about them. Let's have our own good time." And I heard Aunt Noreen go into the kitchen, and I heard some ice putting into some glasses, and all of a sudden I heard Aunt Margaret going from the dining room into the living room. We had a brand new big hi-fi. And what did she do? She put on a new record of that new band that had just come out. They were called the Clancy Brothers and Tommy Makem. Oh, then tell me, Sean Farrell, tell me why you hurry so. Hush me, buckle, hush and listen, and his cheeks were all aglow. I bear orders from the captain, get ye ready quick and soon. For the pikes must be together by the rising of the moon, by the rising of the moon, by the rising of the moon. For the pikes must be together by the rising of the moon. All along that singing river, that dark mass of men were seen. Far above our shining weapon hung our own beloved green. Deaf to every foe and traitor, forward strike the marching tune. And hurrah, me boys, for freedom, it's the rising of the moon. It's the rising of the moon, it's the rising of the moon. And hurrah, me boys, for freedom, it's the rising of the moon. Other songs went on from the Clancys, but my favorite was from Patty Clancy. One pleasant evening in the month of June, as I was sitting with my glass and spoon, a small bird sat on an ivy bunch, and the song he sang was the jug of punch. And tora-lora-lo, tora-lora-lay, tora-lora-lo, tora-lora-lay. A small bird sat on an ivy bunch, and the song he sang was the jug of punch. Well, Patty Clancy had just started Jug of Punch when all of a sudden upstairs I heard my grandmother scream at the top of her lungs. Patrick and I ran upstairs as fast as we could. We ran upstairs, we ran around the corner. There was Grandma standing in front of the stove. The paraffin had caught on fire. The flames were flying all over the place. My aunts were paralyzed in the dining room. I thought Grandma just couldn't move, but no, she was just thinking about what she was gonna do. She grabbed an oven mitt. She very carefully grabbed the paraffin. She turned around and she walked over towards Patrick and I. We were right beside the rubbish bin. She opened up the bin. She threw the paraffin inside and shut it really quick. The flames went right out. And she looked down at Patrick and I and she said, "Well, boys, I think I deserve a drink." She didn't go to the liquor cabinet, though. She went to her pocketbook. Got out a nip. You see, her and her girlfriends always had nips in their pocketbooks, and whenever they went out to dinner, which they did 2 or 3 times a week, they'd all, because they were such sweet little old ladies, "I'll just have ginger ale, please." And under the table, so she was standing there with her ginger ale, looking at Patrick and I and said, "Boys, this is for health purposes only. Cheers."